Hello. Thanks for having me. So every year, hundreds of millions of patients prepare for their upcoming surgeries, procedures, clinical exams. And the problem is the instructions for them are typically delivered months or weeks in advance in the form of paper-based handouts or rushed verbal instructions. And they're easily forgettable. Leading up to the procedure, patients often have a lot of questions that go unanswered, and the anxiety starts to build up. So as a physician, I can assure you that when the patient's experience is broken, the hospital suffers. The most obvious way we see this is when the patients forget to do certain critical tasks before the procedure, and they have to cancel last minute. Or worse, they'll go through the procedure and they have poor outcomes. Of the 161 million procedures performed in the US per year, about 11 million slots are lost because of this problem, which is about a $24 billion problem. Now at Medumo, we've assembled a team of highly qualified professionals to tackle this specific problem. We have over 70 plus years of combined industry experience in this particular space. And we knew that in order to tackle such a huge problem, we had to start somewhere and really focus. So we chose colonoscopy as our beachhead market. The reason is it's a high volume, high value procedure. There are 14 million performed a year, and that number is growing every year. 12% of patients don't show up or have last-minute cancellations or poor outcome. And every time that happens, it's about a $1,400 net loss to the practice. So what does this mean for an average practice that does, say, about 15,000 colonoscopies a year? That's 1,800 lost slots times 1,400. That's a $2.5 million problem. Now, the practices are solving this problem by staffing more nurses and schedulers to call patients, or they're outsourced to a call center to try to guide the patients through the journey. It's very ineffective and not very scalable. So our value proposition to the hospitals and the practices is that we improve operational efficiency by getting more patients to show up on time, prepared, and ultimately have a successful procedure. And we do this through a patient navigation platform. Basically, from the moment a patient is registered for a procedure, they receive a series of precisely timed instructions that guides them every step of the way. We basically automate these clinical protocols and instructions and deliver that to patients. Now, when we talk to our customers, there's sort of two things they care about that we're constantly being compared against our competitors. One is, how many patients can you actually reach and affect? And the second question is, can you do this without interrupting my clinical workflow? So along patient reach, so our system reaches about 96% of the patients that were deployed right now across 11 different hospitals. And the way we've been able to do that is because we don't require any app downloads, no logins, no patient portals, no access codes, which our competitors are using. And as a result, lower the barrier of entry for patients. And we do it in a HIPAA-compliant way. Along the other axis, which is workflow, we basically automate the whole system. So instead of having a separate communication channel that the staff have to manage, it's completely zero workflow disruption. We also pride ourselves on being able to implement and get up and running at a new practice within the matter of 3 to 4 weeks. And in terms of long-term competitive advantage, we're thinking about sustainable competitive moat through the data that we're gathering, which essentially the obvious would be predictive analytics and AI-powered patient assistance, which we're doing. But the most interesting thing that we've learned is that patients respond to instructions differently. So we're actually now able to target different patients differently and further drive the outcome. So different subgroups of patients behave differently. In a recent study with over 4,000 patients at the Brigham and MGH, what we found was a 61% reduction in no-show and late cancellation, which translated to about 800,000 in annualized gains, and 44% reduction in poor prep, which is a proxy for increasing cancer detection rate, and a 9.6 out of 10 patient satisfaction. Now, at the beginning of this year, we had 100 patients on our system. We just launched. We had a free pilot. Now we have 17 paying customers across 11 different hospitals. We have 10,000 patients on our platform. We graduated from Pulse Mass Challenge, won Boston Scientific Big Data Challenge, and just got invited to Y Combinator. All of this has been really exciting, but by far the most rewarding aspect of what we do, honestly, is that every day we're seeing thousands of feedback from patients, knowing that we're actually helping their lives, helping them feel less confused, feel more confident, and ultimately have a better procedure. And that's why we're building the company. Thank you very much.